One of these is a Victorinox Classic SD costing around 25 Great British pounds or 30 USD. The other is a knockoff from Aliexpress costing just £1.50 or 2 US dollars. Both have black duct tape covering their logos or lack thereof. While some of you may already know which is which, to the untrained eye and hand, they feel quite similar in weight and scale material. They have identical tool sets and layouts, though interestingly, their keyring placements differ. And while I say they have the same tools, there are a few significant differences in quality and design. Both feature similar scissors, but their nail nicks are on opposite sides to one another. Now, personally, I prefer opening the scissors from the bottom up using my right hand. This makes the blue tool more comfortable for me. Both have a decent spring resistance. They're pretty similar in that regard. And they're both sharp out of the box. But the Camo Tools scissors feel a bit more solid, more uniform when using. And its thumb point, the thumb press point, also has a more rounded and refined finish. It's a little bit thicker and nicer to press. In the real world, these scissors perform relatively similarly. Both knives have a similarly shaped double beveled blade. However, the Blue Tools blade is slightly thicker, but it has a much lower angled bevel, while the Camo Tools blade has a higher angle bevel, making it much less apparent across the blade. You'll see that the edge there is barely visible at all. Whereas on the blue blade, the edge comes up quite a way across. Again, both blades are sharp out of the box. They both feel relatively similar, although due to the bevel cut, I'm sure the blade on the Camo knife will hold up a lot longer. The tweezers feel similar in use, but the Camo Tools tweezers are longer and of a thicker material. They also have a slightly higher resistance to them when you're using them. You have to squeeze them a bit harder due to the kind of angle bend towards the end of them, although in the real world, they both function quite similarly. The same goes for the tweezers. The Camo Tools tweezers are longer, made of a thicker plastic, but again, they function quite similarly in the real world. Now, moving to the file, this is where the most significant difference lies. Camo Tools file has a nail nick, making it quite easy and simple to pull up. Unfortunately, the Blue Tools nail file does not, making it practically impossible to pull out, even with quite sturdy nails. Additionally, you can see the difference in ends there. The Camo Tool has a flathead screwdriver tip on the end, and the Blue Tool just has a rounded edge, which can be used for scraping and scratching, although it's nowhere near as useful as a dedicated flathead screwdriver. Functionally, the Camo file works really well on soft materials such as plastics, nails, that kind of thing, fingernails. It's really quite a sharp and grippy file, whereas the file on the Blue Tool here is entirely useless. It does nothing. It's effectively a couple of very light, faint lines in a bit of metal. It does nothing. By now, I am sure you are aware that the Blue Tool is the knockoff. The Camo Tool on the left there is the official Victorinox Classic SD. Lack of quality and lack of refinement really means that the Blue Tool won't hold up to the official over time. The biggest difference obviously being the hardening process. The quality of that steel really matters. You can see the solidity of the scissors here. They're quite stable, quite solid, whereas the scissors on the Blue Tool here are very flimsy and okay. Yeah. So that kind of really highlights there the main difference in price and quality is the quality of that steel. The official Victorinox has a very sturdy, reliable, and renowned compound steel, whereas this blue tool is obviously using something cheap and tacky, which is a shame because, again, for practically a 20th of the price, the base tool you are getting is quite impressive for that price. A 20th the price of the official, and you are getting a tool that it has hinges, it has a spring, it has the scissors, it has the knife, a terrible file, but again, it has the key ring, it has the tweezers, everything is there, but it's just slightly too cheap to be usable. If a little bit more money was put into it, from a knockoff standpoint, if a little bit more money was put into it to upgrade the materials, it would be a decent knockoff. If a bit more money was put into design and concept, stray away from the fact that it's just a clone, make it something different, put a little bit of money into the materials, you could have something that's halfway between the price point of the knockoff and the official, and halfway between the performance. But again, the lack of that quality metal, the hardening process really does just destroy that. So save your pennies, and yeah, unfortunate.